Live from Huntertown, Indiana. It's Soarin on the air. So it's a nice spring day out here. Yeah, I think you recently saw that we had five brand new pine trees installed. They're about 12 and a half, 15 feet tall, and they're really looking good. The birds have already moved into it. We have cardinals and mourning doves and sparrows all moving in. So we have some passerines who have decided to join us. And that's going to be exciting for the Raptors when we take down the winter coverings off their pens. They'll have some company to watch. So today I got let's see here. Yep, so I had an email came in, and the guy says he was having a little bit of a rodent problem. So I said, well, maybe we can talk about something a little different this weekend, or this week, and talk about why raptors are important to us. So, anyways, this guy apparently is having trouble with rabbits. No, we haven't seen that yet? Okay. My master controller over here. So he called up, he said he's having a lot of trouble with rabbits, and he wants to know what can he do to get things under control. And so I dug into it a little bit, and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about natural pest control today. You didn't laugh at that. I thought that was funny, but that's.
Oh, it is funny. I was just having trouble here with the computer.
Oh, okay. That's always funny. A good excuse. Yeah.
It is cute.
It's the one I use all the time. So, anyways, so today we're going to talk about natural pest control, and so there's all kinds of things out there that we just don't want to have in our yard. There's raccoons and possums and skunks and squirrels and rabbits and all kinds of things. We finally gave up on our garden. We had a vegetable garden which was all natural, and of course the deer and everybody appreciate that.
They loved it.
They loved it. So anyways, but unfortunately we don't have anything to take deer, but so we're still working on that. So anyway, so a lot of our birds that we take care of, the raptors, they eat a number of things, like our screech owls and our kestrels. They eat things like mice and small mammals, bats even, large insects, small birds, reptiles, frogs, spiders, crayfish. And, so they take quite a few things out of the backyard, out of nature there. And so they're really handy to have around. So we need to have some things, or we can do some things that will bring these birds or make them comfortable to be in our domain or in our yard or wherever. And they can benefit us. And we have things, a few of us are fortunate enough to have barn owls, particularly out there in the Amish areas. I don't know if the Amish are watching us or not, but probably not. But anyways, but barn owls, they eat voles, mice, small rats, shrews, birds, small rabbits, insects, reptiles, and fish. In fact, we helped out an Amish farmer with setting up a roosting box for his barn owls, and we went back in about 2 months, and we found all kinds of pellets that had been coughed up by the barn owls that were from voles. So it was quite a bit, And then things like barred owls and red-shouldered hawks, they eat a number of things like mice, small rodents, squirrels, rabbits, possums, birds, frogs, reptiles, crayfish, and even fish. So there's a number of things out there that can be a number of things that are eaten by birds and some of the smaller raptors. And then you have things like great horned owls and red-tailed hawks. They eat rats, mice, squirrels, possums, skunks, bats, waterfowl, small owls, and which is one of the reasons that you never play a tape of a screech owl, because when you do and it comes out, there's always a great horned owl not too far away. Yeah. So they just love those little bonbons, little feathery bonbons. So frogs and reptiles. So all these raptors eat a lot of the things that we don't necessarily like in our backyard. So what do you do to attract birds to your yard? Well, you can keep your backyard natural. Don't spray heavily with insecticides and pesticides and things like that. Have trees. That trees are kind of nice to roost in and to nest in. That's good. Bushes that provide cover. food. You can, for some of our passerine birds, during the winter time, we put food out and that kind of thing. But the other thing is water. The water is good to drink, but a lot of birds like to take baths. All right, so you have so particularly raptors. So you can put out a small bird bath or a large bird bath, and so it's not uncommon to see things like, at least in my yard, I've seen Cooper's hawks down there taking a shower and a bath, and so that's one of the things. And you can also put in some artificial enhancements. You can actually put out food. Okay, so like I said, we can feed the birds and things. And we put out water during the winter time for them, and also we can provide housing. So we can put out bird houses, and not only just for your little passerine birds or that, you can also put out housing for your raptors. And making houses for raptors is essentially very easy. Even a wood butcher like me can go ahead and with a few saw cuts and a little bit of drilling, I can put together, like I think last week, or I showed you a little box I built. It took me 20 minutes to build a box for a bluebird. And so all kestrel box or an owl box is just a little bit bigger. So it may have taken me 30 minutes, And I think what was it, episode number 5, that we built a raptor box, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you go back on, and you can see how fast it was. We had a box completely built within the half hour of our allocated program.
It was amazing.
And it was amazing, yes. We just did it real quick. So, so all these things are really, really easy. So I'm going to get to it. So we have basically two kinds of birds, if you will, or two classifications. You got cavity nesters and you got open nesters. Okay, so cavity nesters are like your screech owls. Oh, your barn owls. Mommy, give me another mouse. And then you have the open nesters. Okay, like red-tailed hawks and barn owls. And if you notice, one of the things about like the red-tailed hawk and the barn owl, they're actually sitting out there on natural perches, sitting out there on the side of a farm field or that kind of thing where they can look over the field where they go to hunting. In fact, there's a place over there on Tonka Road. Well, some of you guys out of town don't know where that is, but there's a farm field over there. And during the day, there's a red-tailed hawk. He has a nice snag that he sits on. And if you come by there about 10, 11 o'clock at night, we don't do that anymore because we're all stuck home. But anyways, but it used to be coming in late, you would see the great horned owl sitting up on that same perch, surveying that same field. So they like these nice natural perches. So we have so for raptor housing, if you want to have housing for raptors, you can do, like I said, different kinds. You have the cavity nesters, which are the kestrels, the screech owls, the barred owls, the barn owls, and even vultures. You may want to have a few vultures around. I didn't list them as to what kind of pests that they take care of, but I'll tell you, they clean up the environment. So they're kind of handy to have around, to clean up some dead stuff that might attract flies and other critters, okay? So, so it's handy to have vultures. And yes, I can give you plans for a vulture nest, okay? So, but then there's the open nesters. You have the red-shouldered hawks, broad-winged hawks, red-tails, and great horned owls. So they're basically broken down into two classifications. So we'll talk about kestrel and screech owl boxes. The design is just really very basic. And like I said, you can take a 1x8 pine, 8-foot-long pine piece of pine, and with 6 saw cuts, okay, cross cuts, you can have the outline of the box, And for material, I always use for the you can use pine, no treated wood, okay? Don't use treated wood in these things. And then the thing is that always use screws to hold it together, because you never know if a squirrel or something gets in there and gets their rambunctious and chews it apart, then you can always replace the pieces, Use pine or use cedar. Those are two good things to use, but don't use any treated wood. And then the big thing is, where do you place these things? So we'll discuss that here a little bit. So this is a basic kestrel box. It can also be used by screech owls. In this case, we have a kestrel box that's sitting out there in the middle of a field, and we set that thing up maybe about 8 feet above the ground. That way it's kind of up and out of the way. It's also a place where the birds can take off and fly when they fledge. So it's easy to get to. So whoops, did I get a little shade in there? Okay, a shadow. Okay, that better? Oh, that's more better. Okay. And so this is a typical kestrel box with, it comes equipped with a kestrel if you build it right. And,
Kestrel included.
Kestrel included. So this is a basic box. You can go down. You can buy these down at Wild Birds Unlimited or the Bird Seedery. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll find them at Menards. But the big thing is you want something like 1-inch thick pine or cedar. That gives you good insulating qualities, so it kind of keeps it just a little warmer or a little cooler depending on the temperature of the day. But it's also a little bit more protection, and it's less likely to break or fall apart on you. So this is a nice one. Also, you want to have a box that's built so you can get easy access. So where do you install boxes? Well, you want to put them about 10 to 12 feet up off the ground, okay, for screech owls. And they should face either east or south so that they get the morning sunshine. You don't want them to get that hot westerly sun, and you also don't want to get that cold northern wind. So east or west or south, that's pretty good. But if you don't have a choice, okay, put it where it's convenient. If you have a screech owl, if you're going to put up a box for screech owls, then you put it under the canopy of the tree. In other words, you let the branches overhang it doesn't do any good to do gestures, does it? No, I can't do gestures. But can you imagine me doing gestures? Okay, but it was so.
It's going like this, everybody.
Yeah, right, yeah. So over the top. Okay, so you want the screech owl box up against the tree trunk, and you want it under the canopy so it's kind of shaded and shielded by the leaves of the tree. And with a kestrel box, I always I stain mine gray, okay, so that they match the trunk of the tree. So you get some latex stain, put that on, and so it kind of matches the tree. Now, if you have a kestrel, and you can put it in the woods, you can put it on the edge of the woods, but the big thing is it should be covered. I've never had any success with putting the boxes on a building or anything like that. You could put it in a post, but if you put it in a post, you still have to put it into the forest, into the woods. But the big thing is you got to put it near a branch, okay? So you want to put it near a branch so that when the babies come out, when they fledge out, they can get on something, okay? Also, mom and dad like it's convenient to have a branch right there so that they can hop over to the box or tease the kids out. Now, the kestrels don't need that. The kestrels basically either land on the box, go right into the hole, and when they fledge out, it's gone. Okay, they're out there and they're gone. So they don't need any branches or anything like that. So but a kestrel box can be out in the open. You can actually put a post up in the field, and you can mount the box there. You can mount along a fence line. But typically what you want to do is you want to put it at the front of the woods, so it's sticking out, and so it's open in front of them so that the birds can fly out. The other thing, let's see, what else? Something just disappeared from my brain. Okay, so or you can mount it on the side of a building, So if you have a barn or something like that, you can put it on the side of the barn, because again, these are cavity nesters. They do like to be around people, and and with a kestrel box, you can either leave it natural or you can paint it to match. Now, when you put up a box like this, it takes at least 3 people. 1 person to install the box, 1 person to hold the ladder, and 1 person to call 911. Okay, so it's
We hope not.
We hope not, no. But they only have to be about 10 or 12 feet up. So that's the typical ladder that you can get. And what I do when I put them up, I take the box, I put it cleat, okay, a piece of 1x2 onto the tree first, and you either screw it onto the tree, or you can horizontally, or you can take it and fasten on some bungee cords or those tarp tie downs that you see on trucks, and put that on there. And I use that so that it bears the weight of the of the box. And so the box rests on that, and then when you put the box up, then you just take a bungee cord around the top and fasten it onto the tree. I always try the bungee cord out on the tree first before you try putting the box on, because otherwise you're missing one too many hands, you know.
Yeah.
So anyways, but it's really easy to do. And so in this case here, what we did was this. As you can see, there's a tree laying on the ground, and it fell. There was some kids in there, some babies, and they weren't quite to the fledging stage yet. So what we do is we put the box in a tree as close as possible to where the old tree was, and put it up there. And so it didn't take too long to build the box. It took me about a half an hour to build the box. And then the other thing was that the biggest amount of time spent was just driving up to the place and finding the folding ladder. So it was that was a big thing. But it's real easy to install them. But I would use bungee cords. I mean, you can use bolts, or you can use lag screws and things like that to fasten them on. But the problem is that as the tree grows, it pulls the lag screw through the box, okay, through the wood, and pretty soon the box falls off, and you don't want to climb back up there. Whereas with the bungee cords, then they expand with the tree, and so so you're not damaging the tree, and the box is likely to stay up there.
And we do happen to have a question.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really have to do with our topic, but it has to do with our birds, of course. Yeah. It says, what's the best way to tell the difference between a red-shouldered hawk and a Cooper's hawk?
Oh, okay. Basically, red-shouldered hawks will have a buffy, rusty breast, for one thing. Okay, and of course they have the ready on there. But when they're flying, and if they're flying away from you, the red-shouldered hawks have black and white bands in their tail. Okay, and they tend to be bulkier, so the tail isn't really long. It's kind of a short tail. But with the Cooper's hawks, though, it's a longish tail, and it's gray and black barring. Now you will have some rust on the breast, but the top of the bird, it's it's a kind of it depends on which, if it's a male or female, but so the males are gray, but the red-shouldered hawks are always brown with the red flashes, and a lot of times you just don't see that red in the shoulders when they're flying. But the biggest thing is look for the tail, and and also if they're standing, the stance is different, because they kind of stand there and they kind of lean forward, where the Cooper's hawks tend to be more erect, and that kind of thing. And the head on a red-shouldered hawk seems to be more round and a little bit, if you will, larger. I mean, it's, whereas the Cooper's hawks, the heads seem to be skinny, if you will. They look like a skinny head, so it's like a large body and a little round head there. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, anyways, so a barn owl box. One of the things I found that was kind of interesting was that when I first started into barn owl boxes, was that I always thought barn owl boxes had to be mounted inside barns. No, they don't. I found out that they're in poles, and I've observed this, and around the world, okay, because barn owls are cosmopolitan. You'll find them in a lot of countries, and so I've seen real simple, basic boxes. I mean, and something like this, where it's just a box put up on a pole, and with a square hole in it, and a little bit of an eave there to keep the rain from getting in there. And so this is a real basic box. Like I said, you can mount it inside or outside, so you can put it inside a barn, and they'll use it. You can make it so that the box is flush against the wall of a barn, and then you can do a cutout so the bird has access to the outside. So that's another thing you can do. The one that we mounted up on top of a silo. So we climbed up in the silo and we mounted it inside, and birds just love it. They've gone for it. But you can put it on a pole. Best thing, and the thing is, you can mount them on trees. The problem with the trees, of course, is that there's a possibility of predation by climbing critters like raccoons and things like that. But but that's up to the birds to take care of, because in nature, barn owls do use cavities in trees. They also will use cavities in caves and things like that. So so they're used to some of this predation and things like that. So you can mount it on a post or a tree, and you only have to get it about 12 feet up. So at least so that there's enough room. I've seen them even lower than that. I was in where was I? Borneo, and where they have these oil palm plantations, and here were barn owl boxes, and out there, and basically just like the picture here shows. And they were at about maybe 8 feet off the ground. They weren't very high at all.
Wow.
And there's barn owls occupying them, because basically what was going on was that rats and stuff would go after the palm oil or palm nuts, and so the owls are out there controlling it. So so here's an old technique to protecting crops. Okay, and so rather than putting out rodenticides and stuff like that, and not only poisoning the predator or the pest, but also poisoning your favorite dog, cat, and maybe who knows, and so it's a barn owl box, real simple. Again, you can just see it's not much of anything. So it's 4 sides, a roof in the bottom, and a hole cut in it. You can't get much more elaborate than that by putting in cavities. In fact, there was one barn owl box in England that put together, and it ended up being occupied by a barn owl and a screech owl, or it wasn't a screech owl. What the heck was it? Wood owl. Okay.
Really?
So 2 different species were occupying. It was just one of those things. And it seemed like it worked out. But it was kind of like, well, isn't that just special?
Did they both go? They just had one door entryway.
Yeah, well, they had a cavity inside the box, so there was like a divider, and so one was nesting on one side of the divider, the other was sitting on the other side of the divider.
Neighbors.
But they were neighbors, very close neighbors.
Yeah,
but
wow.
So it's kind of an interesting picture, seeing a barn owl and a wood owl together, and like, okay, this is and it seemed to work out. So a barn owl box is just a much bigger version of a screech owl box. So again, the same kind of design, except that instead the dimensions have been increased by about 25%. And again, you use good cedar or good white pine, that kind of thing. No treated wood, and so here it is. This is one that's before it's been painted gray. But about 12 feet high is all you need, on a tree trunk and under a canopy. Okay, so you want it underneath the leaves and that kind of thing, but you want it near a wet area. Okay, so if you're up on a dry plateau, you won't have much chance of finding a barred owl there. But so you want to put it where barred owls occur, and that's where So we may do that one of these days out here, because we have barred owls out here. So we'll build one of those, and we'll have Nicole climb up the tree and install it for us. No. She says, no, that's Louie's job. Yeah, Louie's an ex-paratrooper, so he'll take care of that kind of thing. Now, most of the plans are real simple, and here's a good book for you, okay? This has all kinds of simple plans. So it's called Woodworking for Wildlife, and it used to be available now at Wild Birds and Live, but you can get that on Amazon or whatever in a day or two. And it's got about 20 different plans in there for all kinds of different species, mainly for birds, but also for a few mammals. And maybe you want to have some flying squirrels around or some other things. And some people even like little mice and stuff. Some of the little field mice. So they make little houses for them and for red squirrels. So,
is that the same book that you showed us a few weeks ago?
Yes, it's the same book.
Good.
So I like that book because, like I said, I'm a wood butcher, and as long as I just have to cut straight lines, I'm great.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Yeah. So if you've noticed, I have all 10 of my digits. Okay, so
all 10.
All 10, right? Yeah, all 10 digits are right there, and so this is a book I recommend. But these same plans are all over the internet. So all you have to do is just go in there and just say Screech Owl Box plans, and boom, and the same plans. And like the ones I like, reason I like this is usually it's one piece of wood, so it's so So like for a bluebird house, it's a 1 by 6, 6 feet long. For a kestrel box, it's a 1 by 8, 8 feet long. And if you want to do one of those big barn owl boxes, you get yourself a piece of plywood, and it's a 4 by 4 sheet of plywood, and you can cut out one. So there's things you can, it's very simple, So you don't have to be a big wood craftsman or anything like that, But on the other hand, with your stimulus check, you might want to go out there and get some new saber saws or table saws or things like that, and just build a bunch of bird boxes.
Yeah.
So then we get to the open nester. So this is a typical great horned owl nest. So they basically, if great horned owls will nest up maybe about 20 feet up or higher, and they like a sort of an open area, and but it can be lower in the pond, under the canopy a bit, and if possible, what they like to do is like to steal the nest of other birds. I don't know if they're lazy or kleptomaniacs or just what it is, but anyways, so they shoo off the red-tailed hawk or the eagle or whoever built it, and then they move in. So one of the things that you can do, and it's very simple, all right. In this case here, they made an artificial nest for the owl, and what you're seeing there is some netting. They took a 3 by 3 piece of netting and made a little diagonal cut, and then folded it to form a cone. And then in the cone, they put in a piece. They used some tar paper, but you could use something like an old tarp or something like that, and put that in there as a layer. And then you just throw a bunch of sticks and stuff in there, and let Mom take it and arrange it the way she wants to. She can bring some grasses and stuff like that. So again, a real easy thing. You just fasten it to the tree limb with some zip ties, or some maybe you use some wire or something like that. So it's a real basic, easy thing. And the same design can be used for those mourning doves. So instead of a 3-foot piece, you can use something like a 1-foot piece. And again, you form it into a cone, put it in the fork of a tree there like that, and then tie it on. And then then the mourning dove nest won't fall through. And so if you find a mourning dove nest down, you can always just assemble that little cone, put it up there, put the sticks on top, and then put the eggs in, and away they go. So here's a diagram so you can get an idea. So a 3 by 3 piece, this time they have it in the fork of a tree like this, but you can tie it on, and again, a piece of tar paper or a piece of tarp, you can put it in there and line it. You don't have to necessarily, they used hardware cloth, but you can use the chicken fencing. Okay, so chicken fencing just works out real well. It's really easy to work with. You almost cut the stuff with just plain old scissors. Cut the stuff and then fold it into so it's a real easy thing to do, and you can tie it right up there. So I'm an engineer. Don't work harder, work smarter. Okay, so or you can make a platform. This is kind of a nice little thing. This is a little platform that they've made of wood. And again, it looks like they used a bunch of 1x2s, maybe, or 1x4s, and nailed this together. And so they made a platform, and then the birds can build right on top of it.
That's cute.
Or you can get really carried away. You can put in a pole and put that same platform on the pole, attached to the pole there. And you can make them different sizes. So if you make one that's 2 foot by 2 foot, that's going to accommodate your red-tailed hawk. You can make it 3 by 3, and you're getting up to the osprey level. And 6 by 6, you can do yourself a bald eagle. Yeah. So everybody wants a bald eagle in their backyard. Yeah. Or you can just make a box. In this case here, made a box and fasten it to the tree again using bungee cords. Okay, so use bungee cords. Rest it on a branch or something like that. Take some bungee cords, fasten it on. And I think last week I showed you some pictures of birds in laundry baskets. So that so if you get yourself a big laundry basket, one of those big ones, you can fasten that up there and put some branches and leaves and twigs and stuff in there, and then the birds will use it. Again, birds are smart. They're just like us engineers. Why work harder when you can work smarter? So you can move right in. So this is another easy thing that can be done. And right now, it may be a little late for some of the birds to do this, but it's something to think about. But it's never too late. The screech owls, I don't think have quite nested yet. So it's not, so don't count them out. Get those boxes out there for the kestrels and for the screech owls. I think I haven't heard much noise now from my barred owls, so I think they've settled down now. So the ones I have out in my woods, and I haven't heard, great horned owls. They started way back in January, so they're all quiet right now. So, but it doesn't hurt to put them up. And like I said, these are also emergency nests that you can put up in case somebody falls or something collapses, or when the tree service comes along, cuts down the tree and finds a bunch of babies. These are things that we can do to help out. And here's a red tail, and this is a really nice platform that they've built here. And so you can see this thing, and it looks like the guy made it octagonal. Woo! Yeah. I'm impressed. Okay, so again, he made a nice octagonal nest, put hardware cloth in the bottom, so it drains out, okay, because you don't want to pend up that water or anything. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention, in any of these boxes, don't put in sawdust or anything like that, okay? Just let them take care of it, because if you put in sawdust, it attracts moisture and stuff. It also is a bedding for bugs and stuff to live in, and so you don't want to do that. So just let mom and dad take care of it, okay? So, but one of the great things, if you want to do it, is put up a perch for birds. It's best to leave the natural perches out there. If you have a dead tree and it's not causing any problems for anybody, just leave it. This is a good natural perch for the owls and the hawks to hunt from, and they can survey your area. In this case here, what the guy did was he took a 4x4, buried it in the ground, then attached some metal rod or conduit to it, and then put a perch bar up on top. And this works nice. In fact, they've a lot of the agricultural departments in several of the Midwestern states, anyways, are encouraging farmers to put these up, because these, you get the hawks up there or the owls, and they're watching over the crops and getting those birds out, or getting the pest out. And we will be putting something on our website with all this information. So this is an artificial raptor perch. This is something that we distribute when we go out to do some of our programs, so people can make their own. This one's a little more elaborate. This is taking a couple pieces of conduit, burying them into the ground so they don't push out, and really give them a good anchor. But so this is something that you can do. It's real easy, real simple, and it'll take care of your pest. Now, of course, there are other kinds of pests. Uh-oh, what happened there?
Oh, somebody's unpopular people are texting me.
Oh, okay. Hey, I have candles, somebody says. Okay, I don't know what that's got to do with our program. I hope nobody else is seeing that. Are they seeing that too? No. Good.
Oh,
This is ridiculous. Okay, so there are other kinds of pests out there. There's all kinds of insect pests. Here's a bluebird, and it looks like he's got himself a nice fat grasshopper there. So chickadees, they just love, in fact, all birds, there's some guys out there that eat seed and all that, but boy, there's nothing as good as protein. Some nice fresh worm, caterpillars or worms or anything like that. So, so even though these guys have been eating your sunflower seed all winter, they prefer bugs. They love those bugs. And also, baby birds can't process seed because they haven't developed their gullet yet, so they can grind up the seeds. Okay, so they need the soft food. Even your catbird out there, he likes a worm or two. Even your woodpeckers are out there; they're getting the grubs out of the trees. So there's a lot of pest control out there that's easily available. All we have to do is just let nature do the job for us. Again, it's one of these things where work smarter, not harder. Let nature take care of the stuff. So take care of your bushes. Make sure the bushes are there. Don't use high power insecticides and stuff. Let the birds take care of it. Because one of the things about insecticides and pesticides, those things only kill the weak ones. Okay. and the strong ones, they make it through. One thing about birds, they kill them all. Okay, they don't care whether you're weak or strong. If it looks like it's edible, it's going to go for it. So so work smarter, not harder. And so, again, track the birds to your yard. Keep your environment natural. Trees, bushes, food, water, natural things. But again, you can artificially enhance, by feeding, by putting food out, or water, or housing for the birds. And so, it's commercial time, and then it's again, you can come out and visit us. Give us a call, and we can make arrangements for you to come on out with your friends and family, and get to see everybody up close. And don't forget, keep Amazon rich. Or I'm sorry. So what you can do is you can buy some of those bird boxes from Amazon, see, and then we'll get the benefit of it. Okay, so you can go out there to Amazon or Community Rewards. Okay, right now I don't think there's any bird seed for sale at Kroger's, but anyways, you can go down there to Kroger's, because we've got to feed everybody, and so who wants to say goodbye, huh? I think we have somebody here that wants to say goodbye. Come on.
It's been so long, she's fallen asleep.
She's falling asleep? Okay. So who wants to say goodbye today? Okay.
Athena.
Let me get around. She's backlit. Can't see her.
Oh, I can't see her. Okay. So she says she
There we go.
woke me up. Oh, what are you
Hi,
saying? there,
Athena.
girl?
Yeah, she's been
Yep.
falling asleep
She's
throughout the whole
fallen asleep.
presentation.
There you go. Oh, you look good there. Yeah, you look good. So this is Athena, and she's what? She just had her birthday, didn't she?
Yes.
Birthday. Yeah, so she popped out of the egg here a little over a year ago, and so she just had a little mishap. She fell out of the tree once too often, broke her wing, and the wing calcified the wrong way, and so she can't fly, not like her siblings. So we're taking good care of her, and so she gets an opportunity to interface with all us humans, and she likes to have us around, and we like having her around. So if you folks live in this area, you'll have opportunities to see her at some of our presentations, and you can get some close-up views of her. Or if you come out for the Raptor Adventure, yes, you'll get to see her up close, and you perhaps even get your picture taken with you if she isn't too chirpy. How you doing there, girl? So she says, I don't know what's going on, but it's okay. So she's a sweetie. So I'm going to say goodbye until next week. If somebody has some topics. Oh, I just found out we just had our fourth falcon egg laid up there on top of the egg.
Yeah.
So that means that, okay, so mom can start cooking those things, get them so anyway, and hatch day will probably be, let's see, when's that going to be? That's going to be about the 1st of May, I think it's going to be, about when the hatch day is going to come. So we'll keep you abreast of when that's going to happen. But you can go to the Falcon Cam. You can go to our website, soarinhawk.org, and you can click on the Falcon Cam, and you can watch it there, or you can go to the AEP's site, and you get on there. That way they have nice, beautiful streaming video. They replaced the camera. It looks much better, a little sharper.
Ah, nice.
Colors look a little brighter, okay? And so mom and dad are up there. They're taken care of. And I know that a lot of people have questions, so we're going to have a little place on our website soon. Just talk about the peregrines, So all the kinds of things that you want to know about peregrines and wanted to ask. What, more questions? No.
No.
No, that was...
No, that wasn't.
Somebody was trying to sell you something. Okay. So I'm going to say goodbye again.
Okay.
Goodbye, Athena. Okay.
Hey, bye, Athena.
Goodbye, Nicole. Good night, John Boy. No, okay.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye from Hertown
We'll see you next week.
and Soarin Hawk.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.